the Law Gnome, and welcome to your latest DCAU update. And today we are talking about the newest film in the direct-to-DVD film library, and it is the 26th film. I cannot get over the fact that we are approaching 30 of these films, and this one was a biggie, especially considering the fact that it was a specific story and a specific cast. And like most of the live-action DC movies that are hitting theaters, this one was also wrapped in controversy. We are talking about one of the legendary and probably one of the most disturbing Batman stories ever told, especially considering the fact that it was written by a very disturbing man, and we all know him as Alan Moore. Of course, that is Batman the Killing Joke, based of course on the graphic novel, once again reuniting Kevin Conroy, Tara Strong, and of course the legendary Mark Hamill as the Joker himself. So, a lot of people went to see this movie because it actually was one of the first that gave us the opportunity to see it for a limited time on a big screen, and a lot of people did, and a lot of people saw it exclusively at San Diego Comic-Con, and a lot of people were not too happy, especially considering the fact that I have read the source material, especially considering the fact that it is a very small story. So adding the prologue about Batgirl was kind of understandable to me, especially because if you've read the comics, the events that take place at the beginning of The Killing Joke involve Batgirl, and they're quite heavy. So, to actually give people an understanding of who Batgirl is and how she was involved with crime fighting with Batman made a little more sense to actually include this little prologue. I personally thought that it wasn't necessary, but it wasn't bad about the fact that it was added. I thought that it was a very deep, very mature story. I was not upset with the events that took place, even though, whether they were there or not, it really wouldn't have made a difference. Based on the actual source material, it was definitely artistic, especially when it came to the lines that came out of the Joker's mouth. They were very poetic and very Shakespearean to a certain degree. It's also a very deep story diving into the minds of Batman and the Joker themselves, because these are two guys that have been at each other's throats for a very long time. And as Batman said in the comic and in the movie, there is going to come that day where one of us dies by the other's hand. The question was going to be, who is it? The only thing that I will say is, this story is a very different Batman story, and it's very hard to bring it to film because of the dialogue and because of the nature of the story. But you know something? Bruce Timm is the only guy that I believed could do it, and they did everything they could to try and make it as good as they could get it. And it wasn't the best movie that I have seen. It's definitely not the worst in this library. I can definitely name a few that I did not think were that great, but this one goes somewhere in the middle, but a little more towards some of the better ones. And I think it's just because of the nature of the story, the characters involved, the voice casting of Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill just gave me one of the best performances of his life as the Joker, especially because of how dark this version of the Joker is. And everything else that was involved with this movie, I really didn't have any issues. I can understand why others would, but I personally had no problem. This is definitely a movie that I'm proud to own. I'm really looking forward to watching it again sometime. And once again, I own all these movies, so good, bad, or indifferent, I'm glad that I own them all, because these are definitely some movies that DC fans will enjoy, and people who really want to try and get into the DC universe, this is really a good place to start. If you're not ready for a rated R Batman movie, I would say don't see this one yet. See Under the Red Hood, see The Dark Knight Returns, see Batman Gotham Knight. There's so many animated Batman films in this library that you can see first easily. But The Killing Joke should definitely be one on your list, especially because of the source material, and when it comes to basing the movie on the source material, minus the prologue, how well they did it. So that's all that I gotta say about Batman The Killing Joke, everybody. Please put your comments in the box below. I'd love to have a very good discussion with all of you, and I'm looking forward to later on this year, because there is a 4th DC animated universe film coming, and it is Justice League Dark, which is so exciting because they got Matt Ryan to return as the voice of Constantine. I am so excited to see him again playing this role in a whole different light, and I will see you guys in the next one. Actions speak louder than words.